Have you ever just walked into a room and you just like felt this energy?
Hmm.
Like something big had just happened there. Or maybe you've had one of those dreams that felt so real, almost like you knew it was going to happen.
It's really interesting to me how often people have those kinds of experiences.
Right.
And they kind of get brushed aside as just, coincidence or whatever.
Yeah.
Well, today we're doing a deep dive on the third eye
Ooh,
to see if maybe those experiences are something a little more.
I love it.
Our source material for this is a book called Secrets of the Third Eye: Unlocking Your Inner Vision.
Okay.
And we're going to be going through all the details, trying to figure out what this third eye is and what it can do and how we should think about it.
I am so ready.
It's funny how this idea of the third eye gets, put in this box of like mysticism and spirituality,
Right.
but it's really been around forever and in so many different cultures.
Yeah, the book talks about how it pops up in like Hindu traditions, Buddhist traditions, and even ancient Egypt.
It's wild, right?
Yeah, it makes you think that maybe our ancestors were onto something with this idea of like a vision beyond what we can see.
Definitely.
But how do we even start to explain what the third eye is?
Well, one way to think about it is as the Ajna chakra.
The what now?
The Ajna chakra, it's a Sanskrit word,
Okay.
and basically it refers to an energy center right between your eyebrows.
Mhm.
And in a lot of spiritual traditions, it's seen as this like gateway to higher consciousness, to intuition, all that good stuff.
And it's right next to the pineal gland.
Yeah, which is super interesting.
Okay, I gotta admit, I don't really know much about the pineal gland. What's the deal with that?
So the pineal gland is this tiny little thing in your brain, and some people call it the seat of the soul.
Wow.
It produces melatonin, which helps you sleep.
Okay.
But there's also this idea that it produces DMT.
DMT, like
Yep.
the psychedelic.
Exactly.
Oh, okay.
And some researchers think that things like meditation and breath work, or even just being in the dark, can make the pineal gland more active. So maybe all those ancient traditions talking about the third eye weren't too far off.
Huh. That's pretty mind-blowing.
Uh,
So are there like signs that someone's third eye is like waking up or something?
Yeah, totally. So the book lists a bunch of potential signs,
Okay, lay it on me.
like super vivid dreams, the kind that feel almost real.
Oh yeah, I've had those.
Or suddenly you have this gut feeling about something and it turns out to be true.
Like intuition.
Yeah, exactly. And some people even start feeling this pressure between their eyebrows.
No way.
It's like the third eye is trying to push its way open.
Oh.
That's wild.
But the book also warns about like potential downsides too.
Oh, like what?
Like if your third eye gets out of whack, you might get super sensitive or even paranoid.
Okay, yeah, that's not what we want.
Definitely not. So it's all about finding that balance, you know?
So how do we do that? How do we open this third eye safely and responsibly?
Well, the book dives into a bunch of different methods. And the cool thing is they're actually pretty practical.
Okay. I'm listening. Like meditation for one, focusing right on that spot between your eyebrows,
Gosh.
and chanting especially the sound OM. Apparently that vibrates at the same frequency as the third eye.
Really?
Yeah, it's pretty cool. And then there's sun gazing.
Wait, you mean like staring at the sun?
Well, not exactly. The book says to do it in the early morning when the sun is less intense.
Oh, okay. That makes more sense.
Yeah, the idea is that natural light can actually stimulate your pineal gland.
So it's like giving your third eye a little wake-up call.
Exactly.
Okay, so what if you're not exactly a morning person? Are there other ways to like connect with nature and maybe stimulate the third eye that way?
For sure. The book talks about how just being in nature, surrounded by trees and fresh air, can help you feel more grounded and open to those intuitive insights.
That makes sense.
And it also gets into diet.
Oh, like what you eat affects your third eye.
Apparently so. Like fluoride, which is in a lot of tap water and toothpaste, can actually calcify the pineal gland.
Oh, really?
Yeah. But on the flip side, there are certain foods and herbs that can be beneficial, like dark purple fruits and veggies and teas like mugwort and gotu kola.
So you're telling me I need to start drinking mugwort tea to unlock my psychic powers?
Haha. Well, maybe not psychic powers, but it definitely can't hurt.
All right, I'll give it a shot.
Yeah.
So we've talked about meditation, nature diet.
Yeah,
What about breath work? I've heard that can be pretty powerful.
it definitely can. The book recommends something called Nadi Shodhana, which is alternate nostril breathing.
Okay, I've heard of that.
It helps to balance the energy in your body,
Gotcha.
and just deep conscious breathing in general can bring more oxygen to your brain, which is always a good thing.
Right, makes sense. What about visualization and affirmations? Do those play a role?
Absolutely. The book says visualizing a bright indigo or violet light at your third eye and repeating affirmations like, I trust my intuition, can really help to focus your energy.
Okay, so it's like a combination of physical practices and mental exercises.
Yeah, exactly. And it's important to remember that this whole third eye thing is about more than just chasing psychic abilities.
So it's not about like trying to read minds or predict the lottery numbers.
Not really. It's more about cultivating wisdom, intuition, and a deeper connection to something bigger than yourself.
Hmm, that's pretty profound.
It is, right? It's about personal growth and spiritual exploration and using those insights to live a more meaningful life.
It seems like it's really important to approach all this stuff carefully and not get carried away.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Like,
Yeah.
if you're not grounded, it could get a little weird.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah.
So the book actually has a bunch of stories for people who say their third eye has like woken up.
I was just reading those.
They're pretty intense, right?
Yeah, some of them are wild, like people having visions or knowing things before they happen.
But it makes you wonder, like, how much of that is real and how much is just, imagination.
That's the tricky part, right? Like, how do you tell the difference?
Exactly. And were all the experiences good? Or did some people have, like, bad reactions?
Well, the book definitely mentions that not everyone has a positive experience.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Some people get overwhelmed with all the energy and information, and it can be pretty scary.
Yikes.
And some people misinterpret things, they think they're having premonitions, but it's just wishful thinking.
So it's like walking a tightrope, I guess.
Kind of.
Yeah.
You got to be careful and listen to your intuition, but also stay grounded in reality.
So if someone's listening to this and they're like, okay, I want to try this third eye thing, what's a good first step?
The book suggests starting slow, like with a simple meditation.
Okay.
Find a quiet spot, get comfortable, close your eyes, and just focus on that spot between your eyebrows.
Where the Ajna chakra is.
Yep, exactly. And you can imagine a soft indigo light glowing there.
Hmm.
You might feel a tingling or pressure, too.
Should you try to picture anything specific or just focus on the light?
It depends on what works for you. Some people visualize an eye opening or a flower blooming, but the book says it's really up to you.
So there's no right or wrong way to do it.
Not really. The key is to just be patient and don't expect to have a mystical experience right away.
So no instant psychic powers.
Haha, probably not. But if you keep practicing, you might start noticing some subtle shifts in your awareness.
Like what kinds of shifts?
Well, maybe your dreams become more vivid, or you start getting intuitive hunches that turn out to be true.
Okay, that'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, it can be, but it's important to remember that it's a process. It takes time and dedication.
So what if those things start happening? Like what if someone's dreams get super intense or they start feeling like they can sense other people's energy? What should they do?
The book emphasizes staying grounded. If things start to feel overwhelming, take a break from your practices. Spend time in nature. Connect with supportive friends.
So don't freak out and run for the hills.
Exactly. Just breathe and remember that you're in control of your own experience.
That's a good reminder. I think a lot of people get scared when they start experiencing things they don't understand.
Yeah, it's natural to be a little apprehensive. But that's where discernment comes in, learning to trust your gut and separate the real from the imagined.
It seems like finding that balance between being open to new experiences and staying grounded is like the key to this whole third eye thing.
I think you're right. It's like a dance, you
Yeah.
know? You got to find that sweet spot between exploring the unknown and staying rooted in reality.
This is all so fascinating, but it raises a big question for me. If the third eye is really a gateway to a higher consciousness, like a lot of traditions say, what does that mean for how we understand ourselves and the world around us?
Whoa, that's a deep one.
Right, like if we can tap into this other level of awareness, does that change everything?
It definitely could. The book talks about how the third eye can give us insights into our true nature and our connection to everything around us.
So it's not just about personal growth then. It's about something bigger.
Yeah, it's like zooming out and seeing the bigger picture, understanding that we're all part of this interconnected web of life.
That's pretty mind-blowing.
It is. It makes you think about all the possibilities, right?
Absolutely. So does the book give any examples of how people have used their third eye experiences in real life? Like to actually help
Yeah.
themselves or others?
It does. There are stories about people using their intuition to make big decisions to heal themselves or even to come up with creative ideas.
Wow. So it's not all just theory. It's actually applicable to our lives.
Exactly. The book suggests that as we develop our third eye, we can access this wisdom and use it to make positive changes.
Okay, so it's like a tool that we can use to improve our lives and maybe even the world around us.
Yeah, I think that's the ultimate goal. But it's important to remember that with great power comes great responsibility, right?
Right, definitely. Just because we can access certain information or influence things doesn't mean we should.
Exactly. The book talks about the importance of ethics,
Mm.
using any insights we gain for the greater good, not for selfish reasons.
So no mind control or anything like that.
Haha, no mind control, just good vibes and positive intentions.
Okay, good. I was getting a little worried there for a second.
I know, right? It's easy to get carried away with all this stuff. But ultimately, it's about using our gifts wisely and with compassion.
I love that. So as we're wrapping up this part of our deep dive, I got to ask, what are your thoughts on the whole psychic phenomena thing? Is there really a connection between the third eye and like ESP or clairvoyance or all that?
That's a tough one. The book doesn't really say for sure, but it does mention that a lot of people who have had third eye experiences report an increase in those kinds of abilities.
So like precognitive dreams, telepathy, all that jazz.
Yeah, exactly. And while science might not have all the answers yet, there's definitely a lot of anecdotal evidence that suggests there might be something to it.
It's like we're just scratching the surface of what's possible.
Right. Who knows what we'll discover as we keep exploring.
This deep dive has been so insightful. We've covered so much ground from ancient wisdom to modern science and everything in between.
It's amazing how much there is to learn about this topic.
Seriously. But for now, we need to take a quick break. When we come back, we'll wrap up our exploration of the third eye and leave you with some final thoughts to ponder. Stay with us. All right, so we're back and ready to wrap up our deep dive into the third eye.
It's been a wild ride, hasn't it?
Seriously, we've talked about so much, like all the benefits of activating the third eye.
It's like becoming more intuitive, feeling more connected to the world around us.
Exactly.
Okay.
But we also talked about the importance of staying balanced and not getting too carried away.
Oh, yeah, for sure. It's not all sunshine and rainbows. You got to be careful.
Definitely. So I guess the main takeaway here is that the third eye isn't some magical thing that only special people have.
It's more like a potential that we all have inside of us, just waiting to be unlocked.
And the book, Secrets of the Third Eye, gives us all these tools and techniques to help us do that.
Right. It's like a roadmap to a deeper understanding of ourselves.
But even with that roadmap, we got to use it responsibly.
Totally.
Yeah.
It's like anything else in life. You got to have respect and use your powers for good.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into the secrets of the third eye, what final thoughts would you leave our listeners with?
That's a good question. I guess I would say approach this whole thing with curiosity and an open mind. You know, don't be afraid to explore and see what you discover.
That's great advice. I think a lot of people get scared when they start experiencing things that are outside their comfort zone.
Yeah, but that's where the real growth happens. Stepping into the unknown.
Totally. And it's not about achieving some end goal. It's a journey. It's about constantly learning and evolving.
Exactly. And maybe as more and more people start to tap into this deeper level of awareness, we can create a more harmonious and enlightened world.
Wow, that's a beautiful thought. So to all our listeners out there, thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the third eye. We hope it's inspired you to explore your own inner potential and to use it for good.
And remember, the journey is just beginning.
Keep that third eye open and keep exploring. We'll catch you on the next deep dive.